Hello and welcome. My name is Fake Fairy Tale and welcome to the third video in this Let's Build a Cave series. In between videos I was looking at the map and I was searching for a way to make it all look a little bit less messy, because right now we have a lot of rocks going around, a lot of pebbles. I was already kind of afraid that would mess things up like it does right now, because it's distracting from the map, as well as the inside of the cliffs, because they're actually quite a bit too bright in my opinion. So I decided to tone those down first, and I actually already went out of my way to do a little bit by using the shadow path tool, sorry, not the shadow path, but the shadow pattern tool, and trailing along the edges of here. There you go, you can see it, of the cliffs, and then we can make it darker and later on decide how much darker we want it to be. So if we select it and we can play around a little bit with it here, you can make it very dark or not that dark at all. And I'm tempted to stay with 50, but see what this does. That actually works quite well. This is too dark, so it would either be 50, which makes it blend in with the rest a little bit better. We could actually potentially even have it blend a bit better than it does by placing down some shadow paths. Let me just give this a quick test. We'll zoom in, we'll put it on layer 900 because the walls are on layer 700. And I think that if we use this, has to be quite small. We trail along the edges here. That would do wonders. Let's see, is this 25? It is 25. In blending in together the pattern and the walls. Yes, I think I like it like that. All right, I'll go out of my way to fix that. I'll quickly do it with all the sections of the cave, then we see what the end result is, and afterwards we'll continue with all the things from previous video, so adding in some vegetations and some additional scenery. So hold on for a little bit and I'll be back with you guys in a few seconds. Alright, and here we are again. I think I won't do the shadow path around here as well, because right now they are quite the same color, and I want to make sure that that the walls are bright enough to make a clear distinction between the pathways and the inner rock. Now, potentially we can still darken up the center by placing down some shadow paths. Let's see how that looks. Make it a bit larger, and we could follow these areas as long as they don't overlap with I don't think that does a lot. So there are quite a few options you have here. You can use shadow paths to darken out the sections of rock, or pattern tools. You can go as crazy as you want to go, of course. I think I'm gonna leave it with this for now. I think I quite like the result. I see a few sections of straight line, so let's see if we can quickly fix that by adding in some points and moving these out a little bit further, because I want it to be quite even and I don't want any harsh lines to be shown. All right, awesome. Yep, that works. Now I will do the same thing with the shadow path tool, but then for the outside of the cliff side. So we'll go at layer 700. And I'll trail along the edges to make sure that these rocks are a bit darker. Again, I'll do this on a higher speed like time lapse, because otherwise this is quite a long section to watch. I'll be back with you guys in a few minutes. Please hang around while I quickly go about this, and see you soon. All right, I think this already looks quite a bit better. All the rocks are a bit toned down right now in their colors, and they're not as bright anymore as they used to be. I think this works. We'll probably have to revisit them at some point still. I think this is great for the general layout that we have right now, but when we are placing down some of the smaller details later on, you might scooch over some of the rocks here and there. But for now, I think this is a decent place to get going again with the map. So what we want to do here is add in some interesting things around the pond or water that we have here. And I was thinking about some vegetation, but we have to keep it fairly limited. Another idea that popped into my head is having this area be lit up by sunlight from above. There might be a hole or crack in the ceiling that allows in some sunlight. I think that could be cool. That would also explain why there's some vegetation around here. But let's first start with the vegetation, because we want to add in that anyway. And then we'll see what we do with the lighting. So for the vegetation, we want to keep it... Let's see if we can find some plants. And then we want the colorables, of course, to just pick a quite brownish color. Let's see what we have here. We'll scale it up. I think that works. I like the color that we have here as well. It's dark enough. We'll be adding in some browns here and there. Make it a bit smaller. Let's first save this color. Marvelous. And we'll just add in these tiny plants and these details around the water, just to break up the rock. And I think I want to make sure that they're only here, or potentially over here with the stones as well. Sorry, with the wood as well, because that's something that they could be able to grow on. However, not that much, just a little bit. Because we also have some moss growing on here. So a few bigger leaves would work, I think. And it doesn't have to be perfect realism, of course. If you can have... I can have some grow from here. But it's more important that your map actually looks cool than that it's like perfectly realistic, if you ask me. And even these tiny, teeny tiny leaves, something that we want to put down. Right, and then we'll switch the colors. We take something that is very close to brown, give it a bit of opacity. Make sure it's not too harsh. You can add them around. All around the other ones that we already placed down. Like there are plants withering. We just smack them together, also in a few sections where there is nothing yet, and we'll add in these. Always imagine them to be sort of cacti. Don't think they actually are that, but oh well. I think one is sufficient over there. And we can actually have some driftwood in here as well. Maybe it bubbled up from the passageway that we discussed at the start. Just some indication that there's some wood or branches. Let's see, drifting in. Maybe stuck in the stones here. Plenty of choice that you have. Let's make it a bit smaller. And we'll have to blend that in still. But it could work. And let's see, a few planks. And we can attempt to, if we take one of the broken ones, and we tone it down and we make it very dirty, and we'll add in some of the water ribbon, we can have it float in here. So we'll first tone it down, make sure that it's appropriately dark for something that is a piece of wood that's wet. Maybe even, and then we add in water ribbon. I think we're gonna keep that at the smallest width. And yeah, it's some fade in, fade out. And those sharp corners are a bit tricky over here. So if this doesn't work, let's see. Well, we could make that work. I also have some assets from Gogots. GG water. And it already has some wood. However, I don't really like this wood because it clashes with the wood from Forgotten Adventures. However, we could add these ribbons or these objects, water rippling effects. I think I like that better than the pathing that we have around there. And let's see if we can select it. That's the one. We'll add in these over here. And we'll take round ones around the corner. Doesn't have to be perfect again, but I want it to quite closely resemble proper rippling or proper rippling effects. Just play around with it a bit. And then we'll add in some blood or dirt effect. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. There it is. And we will turn down the alpha value once more, place it on great. We can have it overlap a little bit, of course. And we add in bit of green as well. And to use a different splash effect on both pieces. Ah, that's good. All right. Then we'll get back to some vegetation. I'll place down a little bit more around the map. I'll do it again in the time lapse so that you guys can see what I did, but don't have to go with me step by step through every single piece of vegetation that we put down. And I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, and we're back. I decided to add in some more vegetation simply because, well, otherwise the cave would be very empty, and that's something I kind of would like to stay away from. So even though it doesn't make perfect sense every time to have mushrooms or plants growing a bit further into the cave, I decided to do it anyway because it will, in the end, it will look better than if we leave it all empty. I also added in a few glowing mushrooms because that will allow us to do some interesting things with lights later on, where I can show you how to block out the light and prevent it from crossing over into these areas where you don't want any light at all. I also decided to put in a few things that could give an interesting encounter or could help a DM with thinking of an interesting way to use the map. So for example, we added some red mushrooms here in the back. It could be the case that, you know, they're very rare and they're the cure for a specific poison one of the family members is of the party is afflicted with, and they have to get into the water to get these, or have to think of a clever way to get these, all the while knowing that there's some kind of creature lurking within, or be surprised by it. So I also decided to add in a few pieces of railway and mine tracks, because to give the, if we give the indication that it's habited, or it has been habited for a while, or at least they were searching for a bit of minerals, then you have an additional set of assets that you can work with. So these mine track or mine building assets are great for that. I think this map is starting to look quite nice already. We have a few things going on, which is great. I do think there are a few specific areas that still require some attention. especially these areas over here and over there, and maybe add something here in the middle, though I am not entirely sure yet what that will be. Nevertheless, I think I'm going to wrap up the video here. I'll think about how to approach those areas and see what we can add to this cave system in between videos, and then we'll pick up where we left off during the next video. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like, favorite or subscribe button, and I hope to see you again in the next video.